My name is Hilary Reynolds and I'm the Deputy Chief Executive of Student Seniors and Integrity Services here in the Ministry of Social Development. I'm on secondment here from the Department for Work and Pensions, and I want to tell you a story about volunteering and the Department for Work and Pensions. It's a big organisation with a really big heart. Its staff have always been a watchword for passion and commitment and really being at work because they care about what they're doing. But that's not borne out by its staff surveys. Like most organisations, the Department for Work and Pension does an annual staff survey of its people, how they feel they belong in the workforce, whether they're happy there, what makes them feel valued. And consistently, DWP has had a low participation rate in the survey and lowish engagement rates. And it's nagged away at a lot of managers like me for a long time, which is how do we get our staff recognising that they are engaged? And I guess that sort of nagging sense of what can we do about this would have stayed still, except there was a group of 6 of us who were sent on a civil service-wide development programme for people who had been tagged as possibly reaching the top of the civil service. And we 6 decided to meet up and actually talk about what we could take practically back to our workplace out of our development programme, which would be of benefit to DWP and its community of clients. We became convinced that as leaders we should be able to make a difference. And the thing that we wanted to make a difference in was this bit that's been nagging us, what makes a difference to staff's sense of engagement with the organisation for which they work. So we thought about stuff and we went to the big boss, the permanent secretary, with an offer which we thought he shouldn't be able to refuse. And we said, we think we can help staff engagement, will you back us if we come up with a plan? And he said, come back in 3 months and if it sounds like a go, I'll back you. So we went away and we did some research. We did a survey of some of our disaffected staff, the ones that were scoring really low, and said, well, what is it that makes you disaffected? And what is it that might turn you back into being engaged with the organisation and what it stands for? And what we found is that a lot of people valued volunteering. They spent their weekends with the Scouts or with the Territorial Army or with their local group for the blind or helping out at the local home. But none of this was ever captured or celebrated or recognised or just said thank you to by the organisation for which they worked. And those staff didn't connect their skills or their interests in volunteering with work. So we went back to our permanent secretary, Big Boss, with a proposal which went, how would it be if there were 5,000 people in the Department for Work and Pensions who had a supported work-paid day out each year to go and work in a volunteering group which had connections with their client service? How would it be if we could create Community 5,000? 5,000 people each giving up a day of their time, paid for by the organisation, and going to make a real difference. So we then went and talked to our voluntary groups, and we said, how would it be if we could provide you with 5,000 days of time from committed, intelligent individuals who actually want to make a difference to the work that you do with some of our most vulnerable clients? They said that would be fabulous. There was so much we could do if we just had some person power, some resource of that way. And the idea had wings. And our permanent secretary thought it was a great idea, and our NGO sector thought it was a great idea. And when we started talking about it with staff, it took off. And we created essentially a matchmaking agency. So we asked our IT and our national comms person, who were really good at webby stuff, to design us a really simple web page to use on the DWP intranet to say, hey, if you want to sign up and be one of our Community 5,000, give us a few details, what you do, what your skills are, what part of the organisation you're based in, and we'll be able to match you up with an NGO who's looking for somebody. We particularly promoted it for groups because actually we thought of this as a bit of team bonding as well. And we had a huge response from our staff, from a standing start and no big marketing or anything. It was on the web. We did a celebrating our people sort of spiel, a bit of an advert internally, and we started matchmaking. Staff signed up, teams signed up, the DWP signed up as an organisation. We got more like 7,500 community days in that first year of operation, from a standing start and with no overt pushing. What we did though was track back the results of groups who'd been on volunteering programmes with their staff engagement scores, and you could see the difference. There was a correlation between participation and engagement. So what made it successful? Well, first of all, it was genuinely voluntary. There was no hierarchical pressure from managers thinking that this was a good thing to do for their career or would look good on their CV. This was generally voluntary, individual into web or teams into web. People could see the point of it. That was another real, you could see, Community 5000, really simple idea. People could see the point of organisation giving up a day of your work to go and do this, make a difference. We did monitor, but using the existing tracking systems through the web and through encouraging people to tell us how their experience had been. And we got heaps and heaps of little short emails through the template and the web address we'd set up, telling us about how their day had been for them and their teams and the clients, and what they were doing the following Saturday because they wanted to keep going. We trusted that people who wanted to be volunteering would be going well and beyond the day we'd set aside anyway, that we didn't have to check that they'd used up precisely 7 hours and 12 minutes or whatever it was. The department celebrated all the stories, and that was a key factor in the success. Because our permanent secretary was a sponsor, because a number of us were quite senior and were sponsored, the stories got celebrated in sort of local staff magazines, on the intranet, and in the voluntary organisation zone magazines. So in summary, I'd say it was a programme well worth doing, building a community of 5,000 and more, of benefit to the staff, to the voluntary groups and to the clients themselves. Tailor it to your circumstances and enjoy the opportunity to bring volunteering into the workplace. Thank you very much for your time.